Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video. And in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my collection of vintage collection vehicles and playsets. And essentially I've got them all out like this because I just can't fit them in my collection room. My collection room's a bit small. It's enough to keep my sort of loose figures and carded figures on the walls, but when it comes to vehicles I just don't have the space. So I'm actually clearing out my loft at the moment and I'm boarding it out and creating a bit more space for my collection. So I thought I'd get them all out and lay them all out here for you. So basically just to give you an idea of what I've got in my collection. So alright then, so we're going to start off at the top left, and as you can see we do have the Imperial TIE Fighter there on the top. That was the first one to come out back in what, 2010-11 now, I guess. Long time ago now. And the one next to it there, that one only came out, I want to say 2019, yeah, last year that one came out. And a lot of people have had problems with that one, with the wings falling off. I haven't actually taken that one out of the box yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to be honest. And then next to it there, we do have the Scout Walker. So that's the ATST. That's the first one. That's the Kmart exclusive. And obviously next to it there, we've got the ATST Raider from the Mandalorian, which comes with that awesome figure. Underneath, we do have the Jabba's Sail Barge, the Katana. Very, very lucky indeed to have that in my collection. It's, you know, I've got that one out of the box in my collection room, but that's the box for it. Far too big to be kept in a collection room, that one. So that one lives in its shipper in the loft, basically. Moving on down here, we have the Rebel Armoured Snowspeeder, which is a pretty cool vehicle. One day I might get that one out of the box and give it a review. Decent looking ship. And we'll just move over before we move down. Here we have the Slave One from this year. So this is the re-release of the 2013 one, which is here. This is actually in the shipper, a sealed shipper. So that one has never been removed from the shipper. But obviously I've taken that one out of the box and I've reviewed that one. So check out that video if you haven't already. Underneath there we have the Millennium Falcon. So that's the Millennium Falcon in the Vintage Collection box. It's an awesome piece of my collection. I love that thing. And next to it, obviously, we have the Smuggler's Run version, which again, I have removed from the box and did a review of that one. That video did really well for me, actually. There's a lot of views on that video. I think I may have been the first person to review it. And yeah, it's an awesome ship. It's sitting in my collection room. That's the only other ship that I sort of have in my collection room of any size anyway. Then underneath there, we have the Tauntaun and the Land Speeder. So Luke's Land Speeder. Very nice vehicles indeed. And then moving down, we have the AT-AT or AT-80, depending on how you want to say that. This is the Return of the Jedi version with the muddy feet. It's an okay vehicle, but I much prefer the one next to it and even prefer the box as well. This is the Empire Strikes Back version, the AT-AT. That's probably one of my favourite vintage collection vehicles in my whole collection, I think, in terms of the box anyway. Superb. Really, really nice. And then as we move down, we have the Vintage Collection B-Wing Fighter. I think that might be a Kmart exclusive. I want to just double check. I'm not 100% sure actually. Somebody let me know in the comments if that was a exclusive. Might have been a Toys R Us or a Kmart exclusive. A lot of these vehicles tended to be exclusives. Next to that, we've got the Y-Wing Fighter. Awesome looking ship. This one wasn't really one of my favourites in the original trilogy. I was more of an X-Wing person, but it's still pretty decent and obviously looks very much like the vintage version. Moving on to the TIE Interceptor. Now this is definitely one of my favourites. I have got two of these from a vintage perspective, like vintage Kenner versions. I have two vintage versions and obviously the Vintage Collection version here, but this one's in its box. Again, I haven't opened up this one. Maybe that's again something that I will do when I get more room in my collection. Moving on down, we have the X-Wing Fighter. This is Big's X-Wing Fighter, the Red 3. So this is the first one to come out, and it's, you know, very much like the vintage Kenner version. The box there, really, really nice. Moving on over to the X-Wing. Sorry about the glare there. So this is the Luke's X-Wing, the Red 5 X-Wing. Obviously, it's a repaint of this one here. This one came out this year. Still a decent ship, but in my opinion, not as good as this one now. Even though this one is from the sequel trilogy, it is a much better model than that one, and the way the wings work and everything is a lot better. The Poe Dameron X-Wing there from the Rise of Skywalker. Decent ship all round. Moving on down, we have the Imperial Combat Assault Tank from Rogue One. Awesome vehicle. I do have that one out of the box actually. That one's in my Detolf cabinet. Superb. As is the Mandalorian Imperial Troop Transport. Again, that came out in 2020. Decent vehicle as well. Moving on over to the Return of the Jedi skiff, or the Tatooine skiff. Obviously, this came out shortly after the barge. It complements it very well indeed. And again, this is one of my favourites. It's really highly detailed and it's amazing to have on display. Moving on over here, we have the Ewok Assault Catapult. And again, this is a Kmart exclusive. And this thing is just mint. It's like, this could have just come straight out of a shipper. It's completely mint condition. Again, obviously I haven't opened it. I might have to open that one. It's just difficult when they're in such good mint condition. You kind of don't want to have to open them, but essentially I think it'll just look better on display if it's open. And then we have the carbon freezing chamber, the infamous carbon freezing chamber. This is my second one that I've kept in box, so the Stormtrooper will be in there as well. My first one I did open, I did a review of it. I've kept the Stormtrooper on card on my wall, and I gave the playset to my son, and he happens to actually really like it. So that's one good thing, I guess. And then lastly, we have the Jabba's Palace Adventure playset. This was the first time they did a playset back in 2018, I want to say. Again, this was part of the sort of barge skiff setup, all that Jabba era. And yeah, all complements it very nicely with the figures and everything. So there you go. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of my vehicle collection from the Vintage Collection. And yeah, just to reiterate that, I think the AT-AT from The Empire Strikes Back is possibly my favourite. I mean, the box art just looks incredible. Give you a bit of a zoom in there. Really, really nice vehicle. I do have the shippers for them as well, so they're like mint in shipper. They've never been opened. And there's the barge. Alright then guys, so that is my Vintage Collection vehicle and playset collection. And let me know if you've enjoyed this video. Drop a like down below. Let me know what vehicles you have in your collection. Let me know which ones you need. And also, you'll probably notice that there isn't any prequel trilogy era vehicles in my collection. The only one that I really do need and want is the gunship. And that's so expensive. You know, maybe I will get it one day. I'm hoping they'll re-release it at the end of the day. It's just one that I haven't picked up. And, you know, I'd rather get all the original trilogy and Mandalorian ones first, essentially. So these are all the ones that I have in my collection. The other ones from the prequel trilogy don't really interest me, if I'm brutally honest. The Obi-Wan Kenobi Starfighter doesn't really interest me. The Torrent, again, doesn't really interest me at all. But, you know, you can't beat the original trilogy vehicles, and obviously a few from Rogue One and the Mandalorian as well. So there you go then, guys. So that is kind of a mini collection tour. It's not my room. I will be doing that. I will be doing a collection room tour of all my figures and loose figures, but this is just an idea of what I've got in my vehicle collection. As I say, I cannot fit this in my collection room, and unfortunately for the time being, I'm going to have to box a lot of this up and put it in the loft for a little bit until I've got a bit more room. But yeah, thank you very much for watching today. Drop a like down below, and we shall see you on the next one.